think everyone should have the experience at some point in their lives of working in the food service industry. I was a waiter for 2 summers when I was in college, and I learned a few big life lessons. Number 1, I never, ever want to do it again. It's stressful and some of the hardest work I have ever done. I remember going home and having nightmares about running around and forgetting people's orders. Number 2, I will always tip well because of how hard the work is. Number 3, people can be incredibly difficult and impatient when they are hungry. And number 4, the importance of kindness and patience to those who serve us. Service can mean so many things today. People serve in the military. Community service is done by students or by people who are making amends for past misdeeds. People go to school to become service professionals, like butlers or estate managers. But more often than not, service is linked with status. The gospel this morning has much to say about service and status. The disciples are continuing to have a hard time with what Jesus has been trying to tell them about his imminent death. We heard last week that the first will be last and the last will be first. And we heard the frustration in Peter when he tells Jesus, look, we have left everything and followed you. Basically saying, what else do you want from us? And this week, we have James and John, who don't quite get it. I was first struck by how presumptuous they are in the opening line of the gospel. Teacher, we want you to give us whatever we ask of you. It's kind of a big ask. There's no mention of some kind of sacrifice or service on their part. No, they are very clear in wanting the elevated status of sitting at the left and right hand of Jesus for all eternity. They continue, committing to go all in, basically offering their own lives for this elevated status. But Jesus, probably a bit disheartened at this point, tells them they don't get it, and in fact, it's not in his power to grant this request. It's bound to happen that this small group of people who are spending every waking moment of their lives together are going to get on each other's nerves at some point. And this happens this morning. The disciples are angry and perhaps jealous with James and John for this question, for this demand, and the possibility that they might have a higher status with Jesus than they. But Jesus, in trying to calm this other kind of storm among his followers, perhaps further adds to their confusion. Whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. By asking to be first, they've entirely missed the point of what Jesus has been trying to tell them. So what of this in our own lives? Are we, like James and John, constantly wishing to be first? We are competitive in our careers. We want the better job, the better house, the better vacation, even the better seat on the plane or the bus. Better, 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 better. But where does this quest end? Does our competitiveness put us in a position where we are sacrificing the needs of the most important people in our lives? Perhaps ourselves and our physical and emotional health, or our relationship with God. In this quest for status, have we ever taken a moment to truly ask, why do I want this? Is the ultimate goal to serve others, or just ourselves? Does any of this lead to lasting happiness, or do we continue to remain unsettled no matter how high we rise in power? The greatest leaders I've known in my life have had a heart of true service. They might be in positions of power, but the well-being of those they serve is always at the forefront of their actions. They are firm but kind, collaborators who have a gift for seeing the true talents in those that serve them, and they nurture those talents. They understand that no person is an island, that they themselves need others, and most importantly, don't put others down so that they might rise in power. I absolutely love stories of people who start out in a company in a mailroom, and through hard work, talents, and kindness to those along the way, find themselves decades later, perhaps much to their own disbelief, running that same company. Indeed, the last shall be first. Don't get me wrong. I think competition, success, and status can all be good things. God wants us to work hard, to use the talents that God has given us, to reap the results of that work, and to be happy in this world. But I think it's much more about priority and relationship along the way. This week, pay attention to the role of service in your life. Parents serving your children, children serving your parents, employees serving your bosses, bosses serving your employees. Sincerely appreciate your server at a restaurant, and if you are able, throw a few extra bucks in. And may we all look forward and work towards what I think is at the heart of Jesus' words this morning: the hope for a world without division, where we are all indeed equal, serving each other with gladness of heart and love. Amen.